Hi everyone, I'm Huub Hildenbrand. Thanks for tuning into my channel, Huub Hildenbrand Guitar Academia. Today we have lesson 9 of functional harmony together with chord scale theory. So this is a different kind of a package maybe you normally see or get. And today we will talk about the relative of the subdominant. So let's get right into the endless ocean of music. For this lesson there's also a PDF file you should download. Just go down in the description below, there is a link and there is a PDF. So today we will talk about the relative of the subdominant. I just found out the right English terms. I'm very happy actually, because I'm always try to translate the German words, and there is this German word Parallele, and this is actually the relative in English, the relative. So if I say a subdominant parallel is the relative chord to the subdominant, and there is a counter-relative chord, which is in German it's called Gegenparallele. So now I have the right vocabulary here. That's very good. Okay, so let's talk about the relative of the subdominant. We already talked a bit about what does it mean, like parallel chord, and now we have the right word, relative chord. Relative means a minor third apart and sharing two notes, usually. For example, if we have A minor, ACE, then we can go up from a minor third, and we have a CEG, a C major chord. Yeah, we are okay, and this C major chord, as I said, it's a minor third apart from A minor, but it also is sharing, the two chords share two notes. They share the C and they share the E. So they have two common tones. Yeah, if I play a drop 2 voicing here, I just have to go actually with my A to G down and leave the other notes there, and then I have in this case an inversion, of course, of C major. So I have to change one note. But a better explanation is they share two. They are sharing two notes. Now, what about when I see this chord, and this is a chord we are talking today, is a C major chord. So on the flat 6th degree of the E minor tonality, E minor scale. This chord also is sharing two notes with the tonic chord, with E minor. So when I look at it, it also has an E and it has a G. So the root of E minor and the third of E minor is also present in C major. It's just the C is different, and when I move the C a half step down to B and keep these two notes, G and E, as common tones, I reached E minor in second inversion in this case. So there are actually two ways of describing or explaining this C major chord in functional harmony, in this theory. I can give it. I can say it's the relative of the subdominant, and when I say that, it also means I give this chord a subdominant function. So it's not just a name; it's also a function. A relative of the subdominant has subdominant function. Now, but I also can say, no, this chord has tonic function. It's not the relative, but it's the counter-relative chord of E minor. In German, it's Gegenparallele. So I have E minor, and the C major is sharing two notes with E minor. So I can also I can say this chord can also function as a tonic chord. So I can, for example, we have this interesting it's called deceptive resolution. When we take our dominant chord, dominant B7 or B major or whatever, and we don't go back to the tonic. But deceptive resolution means it's like a surprise. We don't go back to the tonic, but we go up to the counter-relative of the tonic, or to the in this case we would maybe say it's a counter-relative of the tonic, because we use it as a kind of resolution of this B dominant chord. Although we can argue about this the whole night, maybe. So I have B dominant. So in a way, let's put it like that. We can use that C major chord sometimes instead of E minor, but what we come up with is something what is maybe very vague E minor, tonic function. Also in this context, what I just played, I felt it's really more the subdominant function, because it wants to resolve, and actually where does it want to resolve? It wants to go first to the dominant and then to the tonic. So that's also the traditional, logical, natural way subdominant wants to proceed to the next chords. So I would see the C major chord here more as a subdominant function chord. Also, this relationship of relative is a bit stronger, I think. I have to think about it. Maybe after this lesson. So I see this chord now as a relative to the subdominant, and the scale is Lydian, C Lydian. It's the same notes, has the same notes as E Aeolian. It's the most natural choice. And also there on the PDF on the page, which I also have in front of me here, there are like 4 different structures assigned to this sound. So we can have a C major triad. We can have a C major with an added D, so 4 parts structure. We can also have, it's also nice in this context, a major triad, a C major triad with an added F sharp in it, so with a sharp 11 or sharp 4. That's a nice sound. And also, do we have? Yeah, we have also a 3-note structure which we can also, when we just see this 3-note structure, we can give it a name. I don't want to explain here too much because I already explained a lot of stuff in this 3-note, in these 19 possible different 3-note structures. You should check out the first lesson where you get an overview about this topic. And there we have like maybe more scientific name for each of these 19 3-note structures. And for one, we have this name hard diminished. And hard diminished, I use this term because I studied in Rotterdam in Holland. And there this hard vermindert term was used for this chord. And I couldn't really find it, how it's translated and whether it's really used also in the English language, in English theory books or whatever. But it doesn't matter actually. It's just a triad, a major triad, with a lowered fifth. So in this case, C major, C, E, G would be C, E, G flat. This would be like a hard diminished triad. But we don't call this G flat a G flat, we call it an F sharp, so actually it's a sharp 4 in our context. But still the scientific name, you can say, if we just watch these want to analyze these 3 notes, we say it's a hard diminished triad. And it can function in all kinds of different contexts. So in this case, it's just one possibility of this triad, of this structure. So there's a scientific, this universal name, so to speak, and now we are dealing with it in a more practical way. And there it's the root, the major third, and the sharp 4 of the scale or of the chord. So we can that's a nice sound when we play it, of course. It has some nice tension, but it's also very nice to resolve to be harmonic minor fifth mode than to the dominant. Oh, sorry. Time, and we can go directly to this C major chord. We don't have to think about how we go there. We can just go there from E minor, for example. Okay, you hear that? It's a beautiful sound. I mean, this Lydian C major sound. It's very, very nice and very beautiful to a beautiful color in this tonality. And this C major chord is a major chord, and this can also have a secondary dominant. So when we have C, we can have a G dominant 7 to emphasize this this C major as very has like a very prominent placement at that time. I mean, a dominant chord, a secondary dominant chord gives really like a kind of a secondary tonic feel to its target chord. So if we just use C major and then we progress to other chords, or we come from a diatonic chord from E minor and we progress to C major and on to B dominant 7, for example, it's very diatonic, and we it's in a way it's just a step in between what we are using here. But if we precede this C major chord with its secondary dominant, with G7, we give it a lot of importance, and so that's the idea of secondary dominance, to give importance to its, so to speak, secondary tonics. And also to create, the function is also to create tension and to extend the diatonic material. It's like an extension of the tonality, but it's not a modulation thing where you really leave your tonality. It's just you extend it. You bring more colors in, more tension, more notes, which are originally not in this diatonic scale, but these notes are have always the tendency and the target tones of diatonic material. So you use like chromatic in a way. You use different notes which are not diatonic, but these notes are kind of leading notes, leading tones back to the tonality again. And that's also the same what's happening here. We have G7, and in G7 actually we are very close to E minor Aeolian scale. It's just one note difference. Out of the F sharp of E minor Aeolian, we make an F. This is becoming our minor sevenths in G7, and then we have the complete scale. It's just G mixolydian. It's just a normal dominant scale. So it's also oh no, actually not. So but we can say if we play an F suddenly, it can suggest already that we play now the dominant for the relative of the subdominant, for the C major chord. But for myself, I'm not sure whether it's just because I did it so often, or I don't know. For myself, an F actually implies more. It's a flat 9 of a dominant of E7, dominant going to the subdominant. Or it can also, with other notes, of course, it can really imply that I'm on the Neapolitan chord now suddenly. I mean, there are different ways. It's also quite interesting to analyze, or to see. To see it more from a linear perspective, to see, okay, I have an E minor, like Aeolian is the most natural scale, and then suddenly I have an F, just this one note. What is the most natural chord, the most natural root, or the most natural progression or movement of that note? Where is it coming from? What is it doing? And just analyzing this note and really hearing what this note actually wants. This is quite interesting, and to find to find this kind of a solution, or this kind of a sound or concept for every note which is not in the scale. And in this E minor tonality we have like 11 lessons, and in these lessons you get kind of the whole chromatic universe of E minor, and and everything else is really a more extension. It's already like it's going much more out, much more far. But maybe it's not exactly true, because maybe there are also some different devices, some different chords we will discuss at another time, which I just don't remember right now to teach. So, but it's pretty much, I think it's pretty much the whole picture of this strict tonality thing. Okay, so let's listen to this mixolydian. G mixolydian, G7 going to C Lydian. Be careful, because the characteristic note of this dominant, the F, the G7, the minor seventh, the F, in a way easily destroys the Lydian feel, because in Lydian we need the F sharp, and to be really in this E minor tonality we also want to have this F sharp on this C major chord. So we have to find ways how we manage that. So how we say, now I want the F, but now I want the F sharp, and how we make this transition musically. Okay, I try my best. So E minor, then I go to G7, and then C major, and B, dominant 7, back to E minor. What I'm doing actually, to make this F sharp not like a how do you say, like a very big thing. I try to make it more musical, more subtle. Is I always, in this case, I show the G, the F in the G dominant 7th chord. So I do, and then I really play a C major thing. I try to avoid the F on this stage, so I have like different also 4-part structures, 3-part structures. So for example, C with D, or scale wise, like C, B, A, B, C, so no F or no F sharp. And then after a while, I go to the G, to the 5th of C major, and I just do like, I make an embellishment of the G with this F sharp. By doing this very quickly, my ear automatically is, in a way, gets used to this F sharp again. And when I do this very quick and subtle, it's not like don't think, oh, this like a big surprise that suddenly it's that or that note. That's actually the art. I think that's the art of dealing with all these notes, to find the right melodies, the right ways how to approach these notes. And that's very, as I said in the previous lesson, that's very connected with raga music and with makam music especially. It's like really, there you really think a lot about these things. And now, also with my playing, with my approach, I'm also thinking more linear, although we are dealing with harmonies and Western harmony. But I like, sometimes I like to dwell on some chords like for a longer time, and take it more like a makam raga thing, like a short time to be in this atmosphere or in this concept. Okay, let me play this again, and you will see how I use this F and this F sharp. When I introduce this F sharp again, this really leads very smooth back to the dominant chord, as you may have heard now. It directly going up from E. It's also possible going up, but just be careful. Just I mean I don't want to put rules out here. You have to do that. You have to do that, and don't do that. No, of course not. But maybe to just in general, really listen. Really listen what you're doing. What the notes want, and what you want them to do, and really go into this listening thing, and because every note is, as I told you, it's like a miniature of a universe we are dealing here with, and you have to listen to that to really find out these forces, these gravitational forces, and when you understand that, then you can play with that, and you are also able to make it very natural in a way, very beautiful. Okay, also here on this page you find like the whole tone scale. Can also be a choice at that moment. The whole tone scale is a bit weird. It's a bit a different kind of a sound. So it's also something. It repeats every whole tone, every major second. It's just repeating the whole thing. So it's like very wake, very. It has no center in a way where it's resting or something like a root. It's not the structure is not really supporting the G as a root. So be careful with that scale. But I try to show you what I would do. I would drink a coffee. Oh, okay. This was quite subtle now to just do like. that's a good way to use it. I think that was, I like that. Okay, again, another idea maybe. So you see, the way I'm using that now is just as a quick transition to the relative, I mean to the C major chord, and a very good voice leading or resolution, of course, of a dominant chord. In this case, going to major. That the F, the minor seventh, is going to the major third of C major, and the B, the major third of G major, G dominant 7, goes up to the root of C major 7. So this kind of a voice leading is kind of the heart of this progression, and this is true for all kinds of dominant, secondary, or whatever progressing to all kinds of minor or major secondary or real tonic chords. It's like always this progression, and especially this voicing, it's also written there as a three-part structure. G7 without the D, so it's also this in this case it's a double diminished sound, double diminished. Please check these 19 possible three-note structures there. It's explained in the playlist. You just, there's a playlist with these three-note structures, so just go there. And yeah, this is sort of the essence to go. And the arpeggio we can use is just that, and just adding the root, the G. So we have the, and this is kind of the heart, the essence of dominant chords. So all dominant scales, they have these three notes. Maybe that's the only three notes they are really all they are sharing. Okay, and by knowing this essence, that the minor seventh goes to the major third of C, the minor seventh of G, and the B, the major third of G, goes up to the root of C major. This is a sort of the code how these sounds, this secondary dominant, can be most effectively and most naturally be connected with how they are connected, these two chords. And so knowing that is also very, very good, very helpful when you play this augmented, this whole tone scale thing, and you play there for a while. Then to know that you resolve, you bring a new note here, also with the E. In this case, if you use the G whole tone scale, both the E and the C, they are new tones. They are not in the G whole tone scale. So when you use them, you really suggest something new happens, or the chord changes. So, and by being really clear about that, to really know, okay, I can go from F of the G whole tone scale to E as a resolution, and then just play my C major in this case, then this is like a good connection. Like this voice leading is always like the glue, which glues together like different harmonic structures, and in this case also like scale, chord scale, chunks, so to speak, because we see this G7 chord as a secondary dominant, as a chord, and we say, okay, the voice leading from that chord to the next, just make sure one very good and natural way is that the minor seventh of G7 progresses to, or resolves to the major third of C major. So that's voice leading. But we can also, at the same time, we are using scales. So it's quite interesting, actually. Everything is not so divided in music. It's all together somehow. And so when I speak, I can still, when I play scales and when I sing scales, I can still sing voice leading. Or maybe if I think about that, it's actually very logical. I mean, also scale is like if I play like melodic, that's also like a voice or a melodic progression, what somebody can sing. Anyway, I hope maybe, I don't know. Okay, let's go on. We have I show you some more examples how I resolve this whole tone scale, secondary dominant, and yeah, let's do that, and then I explain you something more, and then that's it. All right, so E minor. Okay, you get the idea? Maybe this is actually helpful what I'm doing here, because I remember when I was the first time I get this whole tone scale, somebody told me, or I read it in a book, and there was this scale, a 6-tone scale, symmetric, and when I played it, I had no idea what to do with that. It sounded so weird and so strange and so nothing in a way. But yeah, it needed some time to figure out and to listen to others, and also make a lot of like efforts to find out. And yeah, I think you get this idea, and you will hear that it's also a possible sound which can be quite beautiful. Okay, one more thing. A very natural chord you can use here also as a dominant, secondary dominant chord is an augmented. an augmented triad or an augmented triad with a minor 7, so like a dominant 7 sharp 5 chord. The thing is, the sharp 5, this D sharp, is actually quite implied in the tonality. It's a leading tone, and it's in melodic minor and it's in harmonic minor, E from E harmonic minor and E melodic minor, and its resolution, it's a leading tone up to the root, and in this case it's the same. We go up to a chord tone, which is in this case not the root but the major third of C major. So it's a kind of a quite related thing, and it's quite natural to have this thing happening here. So like I have E minor, yeah, you see, I'm going, what I did, I go from my root, E minor, and then I go to D sharp, and my chord is G augmented. And this is diatonic. This is a diatonic chord which I find on the 3rd degree of harmonic minor and of the 3rd degree, the minor 3rd, of melodic minor. So it has a nice tension, but it's also natural and diatonic. So I can use that, and I can also put in my minor 7s. So I can play this as an arpeggio. Resolve it to C major Lydian. So that's a good idea. This interesting thing here is that a G augmented chord, like every augmented triad, is like a symmetric chord. So it's like the exact division of the octave into 3 equal parts. So we have like a major 3rd from G going up to B, a major 3rd from B going up to D sharp, and if we would go another major 3rd up, we reach the F double sharp, which is also the G, the octave. So we have it's all major 3rds. And it just repeats on every 3rd, you can say. So that's why you can also call these 3 notes differently. You can, on every note, you also have an augmented triad. So you have a G augmented triad, you have a B augmented triad, and you have a D sharp augmented triad. So it's like you can play all these inversions which are all look the same. And interestingly, if you call this B augmented, and that's the most like in classical music, Western harmony, basic theory, that's a normal explanation of the augmented chord you find on the 3rd degree of the major scale, of the minor scale, melodic minor or harmonic minor, G augmented, to say this is actually a dominant chord. This has dominant function. It's not a G augmented chord, but it's a B augmented chord. It's just, it's just that chord, B augmented chord, maybe with a 5th in the bass, with a G, you don't care, and this resolves back to E minor. So this would be the standard explanation of the augmented chord you find on the 3rd degree. So of course you have to spell the notes differently. I mean, like a G augmented chord has a G, a B, and a D sharp. If you say this is a B augmented chord, then it's a B and a D sharp, but the G gets an F double sharp. And if you would call this a D sharp augmented chord, then you have a D sharp, an F double sharp, and an A double sharp. Yeah, so on paper it looks different. But it's very important how to spell it actually when you write it down, to really, in this case for example, to really make the distinction, is this a dominant chord we are using as an augmented chord here, a G7 sharp 5 going to C major, or is it a B augmented chord going to the tonic? So then we change the spellings, and then also we see very quick what's the function of the chord. Because if you would write G, the note, we would never really think about a B augmented chord, because the B augmented chord doesn't have a G, because G is a sixth and we need the root, third, fifth, but that's another story. Okay, so then you also have this this tritone substitution there. That's maybe not so important right now. I mean, later on we will go into more advanced stuff with jazz harmony. As I said, it's based on what we are doing here already, but it's the sounds, the progressions are handled a bit more loose, a bit more freely. You can say, and maybe this last line, this belongs more into that category. I'm sure that you know what is meant with that D flat 7, like tritone substitution, because we already had it in that course like a couple of times. But actually it's not a sound I'm using. I mean, I can try. Yeah, I'm not really happy with this sound. It also of course depends on taste and style and the atmosphere you wanna create. If I would play now, if I would play this now in a jazz context, then it's a complete different story in a way. But I take a little bit different approach. As you may know, I'm really interested in different cultures also, and maybe a bit more into the modal world of music, like Indian music, like raga music, or like Makam music, which is actually quite connected to what we are just doing here, interestingly, and we will find out more about that after I really laid out the whole concept, what I'm just doing in the middle. I'm just in the middle of it. And later on, yeah, we see how it's actually related to Makam music, to the progressions of tetra and pentachords and roots progressions. So it's actually quite it's quite interesting. I mean, it's like you, in a way, everybody finds their path, their what they wanna express, and we take like what we need for that, and we we go somewhere and we see, like, yeah, like you go to the beach and then you see a lot of shells there, and you pick some which you really like, and others you would not pick up and I mean not take or put it back again. I mean, because they are not really you don't like them too much, and other people would just take these. You know, it's like. And that's a process you have to go through. You have to follow for yourself. You have to follow your heart. You say, okay, I like these progressions, but this is not really my thing, or the sound which inspires me. It's not touching my heart. So I can say this now for this sound in that. In that field we are just now working. Okay, anyway, I hope you like these lessons here on Guitar Academia. If so, please subscribe to my channel, and there's also a possibility to donate to support my channel. Just follow the link down in the description below. There on my website there is a button, donate. This would be really great. And so, thanks for watching. My name is Huub Hildenbrand, and every Friday we have a new lesson out. So stay tuned.